My guest, Olumide Kayode Omotibi, is here, so we'll be hearing his voice. He'll be addressing us a little bit before we introduce the topic of today. So without further ado, good morning, Olumide.
Good morning, good to see you.
Same here. How was your week? I worry sometimes. Should I ask? Should I not ask? Because the nature of what you do, sometimes your week isn't always so pleasant.
Yeah, we're used to it now. God is our strength, so thank God for His mercies. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us again so early in the morning. Today, we have a topic cut out for us.
Absolutely, yes, we do. Today we're talking about divorce. Oh yes, divorce is the topic that will be discussed this morning. So, all right, stick around for that. All right, go ahead, please.
All right. So today is very packed. I would like to run as quickly as possible. Before I begin with today's topic of divorce, I would like to speak briefly on something for 10 minutes. I have put it under the topic illegitimacy. So please, today is a special day. Call your friends and loved ones, wake them up, bring out a paper and a pen because this is serious. I think I hardly say that. The word illegitimate, I want to talk about illegitimacy for about 10 minutes. Okay, go. The word illegitimate is an adjective which qualifies a noun and describes the status of a man. The word was formed in the 1530s, modeled on the Latin word illegitimus, meaning not legitimate. Dictionary.com describes illegitimate as born of parents who are not married to each other. Indirectly or directly meaning born out of wedlock, not sanctioned by law or custom. Merriam-Webster defines it as not recognized as lawful offspring, born of parents not married to each other. Now, the root of the word illegitimate is law, meaning it is not according to law or custom, that is the dominant custom or law in an area. Now, that is the word illegitimate, which refers to children. Now, I will talk about what I will call an illegitimate union. An illegitimate union, which is a form of cohabitation by a man and a woman who live together as married, but whose relationship is not formally ratified by law or customs, which means their relationship is not recognized, supported, ratified by the dominant laws and religion of that particular country. The offspring of that union are called illegitimate in law, and their relationship is an aberration to the state, which means it is illegal. Now, the synonyms of illegitimate are illegal, unlawful, illicit, criminal, and out of wedlock. Now, why am I speaking about this? More recently, I have been having cases where people in abusive marriages will come and say they are tired of the marriage and they want a divorce or they want a separation. And I would say, okay, if you are married according to the Marriage Act, that is by registry called the court marriage, then you would need a period of separation of 2 years before you can initiate a divorce proceeding. That is the law in Nigeria. Separation must be for 2 years. So I would now ask, so what was your mode of marriage? Were you married according to the law, that is registry, or is it traditional? And they would say that they did white wedding. And I would ask, okay, so what do you mean by white wedding? They say they did the wedding in the church. I say, okay, do you have a marriage certificate? I say, yes. They will forward it to me, and I would see on the marriage certificate maybe an evangelical church of this, or St. Patrick's Church of that, or the Salvation. And I would look at this, is this your marriage certificate? They will say yes. I would have to break the news to them that, listen, madam, you are not legally married. Because according to marital laws in Nigeria, in the Marriage Act, known as the Matrimonial Causes Act of 2004, which is the primary legislation that provides for the celebration of marriages in Nigeria, any form of union that is not described in this act makes that union illegitimate, illegal, illicit. There are two types of marriages in Nigeria. That is marriage under the act, and then traditional and customary marriage, which includes the Sharia marriage. So you can either be married by the registry, or traditional, customary, or Sharia law. There is no such thing as white wedding, which means that if you go to a church to do what you call a white wedding, what you just did was a ceremony. It is not legal. So if you want to do that, it means you must either have done a traditional marriage in which you pay a bride price. Now in Nigeria, there is nothing called dowry. We refer to it as dowry. Dowry, let me explain. Bride price is what the husband's family, the groom's family, pays to the bride. Dowry is what the bride's family pays to the husband. So in Nigeria, the bride's family pays nothing to the husband's family. You find this in Pakistan, you find it in India. Those are the countries that practice the dowry. Indonesia, not Nigeria. Because Nigeria, what we do is bride price, meaning that the family of the husband pays for value a sum to the family of the wife. So when you say dowry, you are repeating something that is strange, something that is foreign to our traditional law. So in traditional marriage, what you do is bride price. Without payment of bride price in full, you are not married traditionally. So some people will go for introduction and then they will come and start living together and say they are married. Introduction is not traditional marriage. You must have paid the bride price. Unless you pay the bride price in full, let's say the bride price is 10 naira and you pay 7 naira, you are not yet married. You must pay that bride price in full. Traditional, then Islamic or Sharia marriage is according to the Muslim rites. The increasing problem now, and what has led to a brief symphony this morning, is the issue of people having marital problems, marriages which there is domestic violence or abuse, and you ask them what kind of marriage they had, they will tell you white wedding. In Nigeria, the pastor is not authorized to join you in holy matrimony. I would repeat that. In Nigeria, the pastor is not authorized. When they say by the powers conferred upon me, I make you husband and wife, that is not true. There is no law that confers the authority to make husband and wife on the pastor. It is either the marriage registry, that is where you are proclaimed husband and wife and given a marriage certificate, or by your family. Traditional marriage is either family in tradition or the law in the court marriage. So any other person that tells you by powers conferred on me is a lie. What you are doing is something that is illegal. Now, there are some churches, particularly the Catholic churches, who have gone to the state to apply to be agents of the state under the Ministry of Interior, who are now licensed to perform marriage according to the law, as if you are in a registry. So what they will give you there is a marriage certificate where you would see the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Form E. On the flip side, before, you would have seen the Ministry of Interior. But now I don't know if it is still written up, but you would see clearly the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If your marriage certificate does not have the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are not married. What you are is living in fornication and reproducing illegitimate children. The problem I have is where clergy wants to take over the position of the state, and they know, some of them may not even know, it is illegal. There is no such thing as white wedding. Now, how would I describe white wedding to you? White wedding is a term that came into use when Queen Victoria in Great Britain got married and she wore a white lace. That was when the term white wedding, because she was about the first monarch to dress that way. She chose a white lace, and it was called, because of the color of her wedding gown, it was now referred to as a white wedding, which is amongst the elites of Great Britain. It is not here in Nigeria. So it is a foreign concept which is not known to Nigerian law. But a lot of us here would go and say, you want a white wedding. Okay, not a problem. But make sure you go to a registry, or you go traditionally to the family and pay bride price. Payment of bride price makes the law recognize your marriage as traditional, which is legal.
So if you do one or the other, if you just do the traditional without doing the
well, if you do traditional,
or civil without traditional, is it still
just traditional is legal?
Okay.
Just
Court
court wedding is legal. But at times, like I did, the first I did was the court wedding. Then after I went to do the traditional. So to satisfy both traditional law and the law as in, yes, the Marriage Act, I did both. I did not do. What it should be is a church celebration where after you are married, you go to church and give you a procession, and then they pray for you and bless the marriage. It should be called a church celebration and not a white wedding, except for a church that has been licensed by the state, which is not an easy thing to become an agent of the state, because there are marriage registries in every local government office all through Nigeria. As long as you have a local government, your marriage registry is in that local government office. They are the ones licensed, not even the federal government, but the local government. They are the ones licensed to give you a marriage certificate. Without that, what you are doing is you are living, you have just been fornicating for 14 years and giving birth to illegitimate children.
So for clarification, if you get married in a church that has gotten the permit, what I call it now, from the Ministry of Interior, and you sign that certificate in the church, it's equivalent to going to a court to get
yes
married.
They would even usually they would give you, and then you will go and submit it. After you sign it, you will go back to the marriage registry with the copy of that, and you give to the marriage registry. So even though they are still agents of the state, you will still, after signing in the church, you will still have to go to the registry to drop a copy where they would acknowledge you in the registry. So what you have now is an illegitimate union with illegitimate children. What you have done is two people living together in coitus, in copulation, in lovemaking, in screwing around, but not in marriage. Now, the funny thing is, according to our statistics, 61% of Christians are in this kind of relationship, and 39% of Muslims. In fact, it is, yes, there was about 24% Muslims. The statistics is that between 24% Muslims and 39% Muslims. We need to collect more data on Muslims, but it is very fixed that a lot of Christians, 61%, are living in coitus, either thinking that their white wedding and the marriage certificate that they have is legal. There's someone that came to me who is the choir leader of a church. He had been going through a lot of, and he came, and when I asked for the marriage certificate, I saw that they were not legally married. And I said, Oga, what have you been doing for 14 years with 3 children in an illicit union? One of the biggest factors that causes this is pregnancy before marriage. Once a woman gets pregnant, the family pushes her to the man who got her pregnant, not caring whether she was raped or it was consensual. They just push her, just marry him. What were you doing there? You went to his, and some customs will even remove the bride price for a woman who got pregnant before marriage. So that, just go and be, to avoid family disgrace. So a lot of this have resulted from women who got pregnant before marriage. And I have told you that pregnancy does not make a woman a wife or a man a husband. It simply makes a woman a mother and a man a father. It doesn't automatically make them husband and wife. So forcing people into marriage has led to a lot of these illegal unions where they just go quickly do church marriage, or where they have waived bride price because the girl is pregnant. You see, in our culture, we don't collect bride price on a woman who is pregnant. And there, they say, okay, after you deliver, you come back and pay bride price. But after you deliver, the raising the child and everything takes a lot of money, and they say, okay, we'll pay the bride price next year. Next year becomes 10, becomes 2 decades. What you have done is to raise illegitimate children. My annoyance is directed at the church that keeps telling people that when you want to marry, come, white wedding. It is illegitimate unless the church is an agent of the Ministry of Interior to carry out marriages, which very few churches have been licensed. You cannot, the state does not confer the power or authority on you to join people, and also the Bible does not confer the authority on pastors to join people. Go to 1 Timothy and look at the responsibilities of pastors. There is nothing about joining people in marriage. Go from Genesis to Revelations, you will see that no marriage ceremony has been conducted by a prophet or priest. Where Jesus turned water to wine, was he in the temple? It was in the family house. Jewish marriages have always been in the family house. But when religion now takes that right, the parental right, the right of the family, and says, no, it is them that will join, it is an aberration both to scripture and to law. So let them go and marry. You ask them before they do that church celebration, have you gone to do it? Have you paid the bride price? Or have you gone? Let them do the legitimate thing first, then let them come to church where you can give them a blessing. You can pray for them. Because this has confused a lot of people and it causes problems. Do you know it causes problems? The Bible says, if the foundation be what?
It's not solid.
Be destroyed, what can the righteous do? That means if there is no foundation, it cannot stand. A marriage, a union cannot stand on nothing. That is why most of the abusive marriages come from people that their bride price has not been paid, or they did not do legitimate marriage. You will find out. Look at their children, always having one problem or the other, because if you believe in God, there is no foundation on God to bless that union. You are just in your house. Your house is nothing less than a brothel. You provide covering, you provide shelter, you provide food for the woman, only to come to sleep with her and then give birth to children. In what union? In what union? That is coitus, that is fornication. And then you are put in the churches to head departments over people that are legally married. Why would there not be problems in that department? Why would there not be problems even in that? You see, this leaves a big room. if you believe in the devil, if you believe in evil, if you believe that there is something in the universe that backs up illegitimacy and wickedness, this is wickedness. Because you take a woman from her father's house, you bring a man from his father's house. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife in one flesh, and you bring both of them not married to now have children that are illegitimate. Find out what happens to them. Find out what happens. So it is always one problem to the other. Even if you have friends, you have a friend who is not legitimately married, you will find out that they always have problems. Business with them is what you call there's this prayer point my mother prays, something at the edge of breakthrough. When at the edge of your breakthrough something happens, a problem at the end of breakthrough or something like that.
I wish I could help you.
Yeah, you're just looking at me.
I'm just looking at you because I wasn't there.
So there's this prayer point. There's always problem at the edge of those kind of people have special problems. If I were to own a church, my church will be by membership. You cannot just walk in, new members stand up, you clap for them, they come in, you give them, you welcome them. No. Some people, to join my church, you will have to apply. You will bring your marriage certificate if you are married. To be in any department, you produce your marriage certificate, because these people carry problems around. One, because of ignorance. Two, because some of them intentionally did. They got the woman free of charge. She got pregnant, she just moved into the house. Why? Like you go out and you bring a newspaper and you just put in the house. And for fathers, parents, my annoyance is this: you will go and then wear ashwebi to do naming ceremony for a child that was born illegitimately. They did not pay you bride price for your daughter. They did not take your daughter to a marriage registry. But you are coming to wear ashwebi and to name children that were born illegitimately. What kind of parents are those? Probably because they send you an envelope, or probably because just to protect the family name. Now that name is worse than it was before, because you have illegitimate grandchildren. No matter where you are, you have illegitimate grandchildren. How is it that a mother will go and be, I'm going to pack things, you want to go and do omugo for someone that did not pay bride price on that your granddaughter, on your daughter, giving birth to another daughter that is illegitimate, just breeding generations of illegitimacy? Those children have problems. Those people, their marriage always has problems, because it is an illegal, according to law, it is an illegal union. According to tradition, it is an illegal union. According to religion, it is an illegal union. In all aspects of life, they are illegal. It is better when you are pregnant, don't be forced to marry somebody. Let them be the father, let them be the mother. So the child has what? A father and a mother. But don't insult that by coming together in a union that is illegitimate. The father will provide, the mother will provide. The boy knows the father, knows the mother. But it is insult upon injury that you now come together in a situation where you are not married. You just live together to now what? It is deception. You are calling husband and wife, wearing a wedding ring, deceiving people that you are legally married because it was given to you in the church that has no authority to join you in marriage. Listen, there is a problem. If you need to ask your friends, I tell people now I will see your marriage certificate. If you see churches, religious houses, friendships, when they say they are married, let them you cannot apply to the American embassy, you want to go, they will ask you for your marriage certificate. They will confirm whether you are married, and